What's up? We got another episode of Definitely the Experts. It's Sam, it's Connor, and this week's special guest, Brandon Berens, our good buddy, long-time listener. Brandon, how you doing? Connor, how you doing? Let's get moving.
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're ready to have some real talk with some real folks this week.
Let's start off. We had the first round recap last week for the show after the Packers drafted Jordan Love in the first round trade to make that happen. And then we had two more days of draft. And it was not what I wanted, not what I expected.
It was. I mean, we had a brief recap of the first round last week, and it was already a little unsettling watching the Packers trade up to draft Jordan Love, and we kind of already touched on a lot of that, I'd say, but it really didn't get a whole lot better from there. I guess without saying, we can just kind of dive right into this. So the second day, it was rounds 2 and 3, and we watched the Packers take A.J. Dillon, a running back out of Boston College in the second round with the 62nd overall pick. Followed up with Josiah DeGuara, a tight end out of Cincinnati, an undersized tight end out of Cincinnati at that. And those are the two picks of the second day. So I guess I'll rattle off the rest of them. So they followed that up with taking Kamal Martin, an inside linebacker from the University of Minnesota. The next three picks were offensive linemen: John Runyon out of Michigan, Jake Hansen out of Oregon, Simon Stepaniak out of Indiana, Vernon Scott, a safety out of TCU, and then our last pick was Jonathan Garvin, edge defender out of Miami. So the top end here was a little controversial, particularly the A.J. Dillon selection. He is a man's man. He was a straight bruiser at Boston College, like a very old school style running back, heavy-hitting guy. I'm actually pulling up his metrics right now. He's 6 feet tall and 247 pounds. A lot of people weren't too happy about. Yeah, he's huge, massive.
Huge guy, also productive in college.
Yeah, I thought one of the more interesting statistics that I found was that he faced the most stacked boxes in all of college football because Boston College's offense was so positively anemic, and he was the only thing going for them. Jonathan Taylor faced the second most stacked boxes at 29%. A.J. Dillon faced stacked boxes 46% of the time. Wow. So nearly half the time he was facing stacked boxes, and still managed to put up productive numbers at Boston College, which was that's crazy.
This last season averaging over 5 yards carry, 14 touchdowns on the ground. I think the big knock against him might have been going there. Highly productive on the ground, but not at all a factor in the passing game out of the backfield.
No. So a lot of folks had a problem with it. Well, before we get into what problems he had, how heavy do you think Jamal Williams is? Jamal Williams is our thunder to lightning combo with Aaron Jones. He's the bruiser right now. He's 6 feet tall, so he's the same height as A.J. Dillon. How heavy do you think he is without looking it up?
235. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I'd have to say 220 maybe.
He's 213.
What?
Okay.
That's it?
Yeah.
What's Aaron Jones?
He's way smaller.
but how much smaller?
Aaron Jones is shorter too, I think, right?
213 is
207. Aaron Jones is 5'10".
5'10".
Would you say 207?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're the same size.
Yeah. Jamal Williams is a little taller. Kind of the same sort of. They have different builds, but Jamal Williams is a little taller. So AJ Dillon is significantly heavier than Jamal Williams. Yeah. Damn boy, he's thick. So let's get into this. Let's get into this because not a lot of people thought the Packers were going to spend a second round pick on a running back. Certainly when everybody and their mom was calling for a wide receiver.
Yeah, that was the thing I justified I felt okay. At least cried myself to sleep on Thursday night after the first round. all right, fine. I got this guy, but we'll get a receiver in the second deep wide receiver class. All good. And then I remember seeing that pick come up, and I literally texted you. It was like, what the fuck? Of all the positions to draft in the second round, that's like that kicker and punter, like the three worst you could have done there. You can get so much better. You can get great value of running back much later in the draft. You don't need to go second round to get a running back. You already have, like we were talking about, the two main dudes, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, and then if you get any production out of the draft pick last year, Dexter Williams. Maybe there's something there, but you did recently spend a draft pick on a running back, and you can get running backs undrafted that are productive or serviceable, or get them later just in the draft. So I have no need to take a running back this high.
Absolutely not. And the guys that were taken in the first and second round, there were a couple of ones that were questionable, namely Cam Akers and AJ Dillon. I thought popped out on paper to me. The LA Rams, I think, had a stronger case to draft a running back because they obviously lost Todd Gurley, and the guy they had back there, Darrell Henderson, didn't get a ton of playing time last year. Can't imagine the coaching staff had a ton of confidence in him, despite what was going on in the backfield there. So I didn't like it, but it made a little bit more sense in the Packers pick. And the rest of these guys, really, I really think that they're in a tier of their own almost. DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, taken in the first round. All three of those guys I thought were so I don't want to say they were a tier above AJ Dillon, but it certainly felt like they were maybe a little bit more suited for what the NFL has in store for running backs these days. Like they all kind of have some sort of experience with doing things that prototypical running backs do, and they all are involved in situations where it seems like they're going to benefit from the system that they're put in. J.K. Dobbins, I'd also put almost in that equation just because we see what the Ravens are doing with their running game. We see how effective Mark Ingram was last year, Gus Edwards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire with Kansas City. You can see how his role as a pass catcher at LSU would translate well to that team. Jonathan Taylor working in tandem with Marlon Mack, Raheem Hines in Indianapolis, fulfilling that more of a workhorse role, something that they were desperately needing last year. These all make sense to me. But Packers taking AJ Dillon just. It doesn't make sense to me, mostly because he's clearly supposed to be in today's NFL part of a 1-2 punch. I don't necessarily know if he's going to be a three-down guy at any point, just because his total lack of work in the passing game is something that makes that position almost obsolete these days.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Who's still on the board for receivers at 62? I guess to Goody's point when he came out and said, well, it just didn't fall the way wanted it to. I guess I can't just disagree with that too much, because at 62, Denzel Minshew taking 3 picks earlier, my guy, boy, was missing by 3 spots. Van Jefferson's off the board, Chase Claypool's off the board. So who's on the board then? It's Lynn Bowden is the next receiver picked in the third at number 80. Brian Edwards, South Carolina. Devin Duvernay from Texas. Which are, I don't know.
Yeah, it was pretty slim.
I love the board, but still, which is okay. That's fine. You can pass on receiver there. Just pick some. Go a different way. Pick a different position.
Yeah. I mean, looking around that pick, I mean, just kind of. Just glancing around it, namely the one right after, really gay out of Mississippi State, inside linebacker. He's the guy that was knocked to the Packers pretty frequently. I think I would like to see him get picked up. I think that I really liked our Kamal Martin pick. I think he was a great value pick in round 4 there. His injury history is something that scares me a little bit. I mean, we already don't have a ton of depth at that inside linebacker, and it's something that we're desperately trying to address. Signing Christian Kirksey in the offseason here, it'd have been, I think, a little bit more reassuring to see a guy with more surefire collegiate production like Gay.
Drafting, and when you get into the 5th, 6th, 7th round, if you got some of those guys that have really fallen due to injury concerns, at that late in the draft, I got no problem taking a flyer on some of these high upside dudes, despite their injury risk. Is picked in the 5th round. You're looking for diamonds in the rough there anyway, or really, diamonds in the rough, or just looking for special teams depth at that point in the draft anyway, for the most part. But again, did pick a receiver, and Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan, a guy that I liked a lot, was on the board well into the 6th round, and with 3 picks in the 6th, could have taken. It was so funny just watching this. I didn't watch this too intently day 3, but I'm just trying to following it. Like, come on, pick a receiver. All right, maybe we got 3 picks in the 6th. All right, I took his lineman. All right, maybe we'll go receiver here at the back end of the 6th. Nope. All right, we'll pick one up in the 7th.
Yeah, just those.
We'll get a priority free agent.
Those last 2 rounds, it was like that the whole time. Like, okay, it's going to be this one, especially like you said with Peoples-Jones being there. I thought they might pick him up, but.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a guy we know because he's in the Big Ten. We're familiar with him.
Yeah, you know what he can do.
So and that led me to, and I sent you Connor a whole bunch of stuff on my guy, the Canadian superstar Reggie Begelton.
Reggie Begelton.
Played 3 years in CFL, and now he's in the Packers camp this summer. And I am all in on this guy. He is like all pro or Pro Bowl, whatever they do up there. Canada Cup team. But he was pretty good, and I don't know, his highlight reel looked good, so that's my guy. Maybe a great Canadian savior.
All right. So I guess walking this back just a minute. The Packers. So I will agree with you that this is, I think, the closest that I've ever watched the 6th and 7th round before. Holy shit! Yeah, I watched the picks like roll in on like my app sometimes, but like this is, I think, the first time I had the TV on, and I was like folding laundry, watching the fucking draft in the 6th round because it was like, damn. There's still KJ Hill on the board. Yeah, there's Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's like, damn, are we gonna take a flyer on these dudes? And he's like, nope, not at all. So, before we got there, though, in the 3rd round, the Packers took a shot on Josiah DeGuara, a tight end out of Cincinnati. So when that popped up too, so that was at the end of day 2 there. I remember my heart just sinking because it was like, fuck me, man, a tight end. Like I was talking to a couple friends I was gaming with, and one of the guys was like, what the fuck are the Packers doing? And I was like, I don't know, but their pick's up. And so I went out of my room and like watched the TV, and it came up, and my other buddy was trying to pull up a stream of it. He couldn't find it, and I was like, oh, fuck. He's like, who'd they pick? And I was like, they picked a tight end. A guy who I didn't recognize. I knew the first couple of tight end prospects just from looking at draft boards, but this was a name that totally I had no idea who this dude was. I will say that after doing a little bit of research on both Dylan and DeGuara, I will say that I feel much better about these picks than I feel after doing research on Jordan Love. I feel no better doing any research on Jordan Love. But these two guys, I feel marginally better than at the time when their selection was announced. So the plan that's speculated with Josiah DeGuara is that as an undersized tight end, and really the whole general theme of this whole draft after all of the sticks fell where they did, it really seems like Matt LaFleur is trying to create a zone run heavy scheme that's seen right now in San Francisco. And a lot of people are comping Josiah DeGuara to Kyle Juszczyk, who also played tight end in college at Harvard, an undersized tight end, and now he plays fullback for the 49ers. He's used pretty widely as a utility player. He's obviously a lead blocker. He's a huge component of their running game, and when he's not in there, things are significantly worse for them on the ground. So a lot of people are saying right now that this is the plan, is to use Josiah DeGuara as this H-back, utility guy in the backfield, split into out wide, thrown in the slot. He played all over the place in college, so there's a lot of comparisons that make sense, but I don't know. It doesn't feel totally surefire to me, and I know that the draft is the furthest thing from a surefire thing with anybody, but man, I don't know. What do you guys think about this guy?
Well, the Packers used Jay Sternberger in a little bit of that. They moved him around all over the place last year a little bit, right? So
yeah. The tight end room is going to be interesting. Well, because like he's an H-back, fullback, type of player. So Danny Vitale's not on the team anymore, so okay, this is a replacement there, but the tight end room's going to be crowded because Mercedes Lewis is back. Jay Sternberger, you just mentioned Brandon, and then this guy, and then the fourth guy would be Robert Tonyan, who's by all accounts has a high upside, but I don't know. So. Yeah, no, it was like you said, it was a name I didn't recognize here, and it's like, well, okay, you're drafting like a hybrid fullback in the third round. Is that really the way to go here? Maybe.
Yeah, seems like a little
way to win, so I don't know.
Yeah, seems like a little bit of a stretch in 2020.
On the game field.
Yeah, definitely seems a little weird, especially with the Packers not dressing inside linebacker or wide receiver for that matter. At this point. Now, with the way that the draft fell, looking at it, it's kind of like what you said, even at the second round pick with A.J. Dillon. I'm not totally sure who was left there that the Packers had their eyes set on. Maybe nobody. So.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. So I mean, that is what it is. We'll see what happens there. Kamal Martin is an inside linebacker out of Minnesota. He was productive in his junior year and unfortunately suffered an injury senior year that hamstrung his production a little bit. But by all accounts, he was pretty productive in his collegiate career. And I think, like you said earlier, Sam, the Packers ultimately are taking a flyer on him in the fifth round, drafting him. Perhaps to learn under Christian Kirksey, Oren Burks there, fill out the depth in the inside linebacker position there. We'll see. I guess my optimism for guys drafted there, it's just I don't know. With how Oren Burks hasn't quite panned out, it makes me a little cautious about what to expect from a guy, especially with I don't want to say extensive injury history, but significant.
Yeah, definitely not coming with a hell. I don't know, shoulder shrug. Well, hopefully he's good. Yeah. Flyer pick, he can stay healthy. The guy that always comes to mind, a little bit different situation with Miles Jack. He had all sorts of injury red flags coming out, and he hasn't really had any issues. I'm sure for every case like that where the guy remains relatively healthy for a while, There's, I can't think of any examples, but guys that didn't have injury red flags that, they were justified and they ended up derailing someone's career, really limiting potential. But the next 3 picks, when they go on offensive line, I like that. Trying to just get 1 or 2 of those guys that are halfway decent. Great. Picking them in the 6th round. I don't know if any of them are going to be a long-term solution at right tackle to replace Brian Bulaga or David Bakhtiari, whoever's to deal with injuries, but just to get some sort of additional depth in numbers there. I like that direction. The 6th round.
Yeah, I was okay with that, beefing up the numbers a little bit there too, especially after Brian Bulaga left. Yep.
Yeah, and I like preparing for the future a little bit here. Not really sure what's going to happen with some of the other pieces on the offensive line. Namely Corey Linsley is one that comes to mind. I think the Packers have to make a decision about him in the near future here. So, Billy Turner is also, I think, only under contract maybe through next year. So. Just trying to find depth pieces here. It makes sense to me. Get some guys that are maybe some developmental pieces, and see if those guys are able to be brought into the fold in the next couple of years here, or if the Packers have to address offensive line again. They did bring in what's his name? Rick Wagner. To replace Brian Bulaga, hopefully, as a one-for-one situation at right tackle there. They have him in for 2 years. We'll see how that goes. Maybe he'll be able to step in and replace Brian Bulaga. But like you said, I like these last couple of picks here. Just bolstering offensive line. Can't really go wrong with adding depth pieces there. And then I don't really know anything about Vernon Scott and Jonathan Garvin.
I just know there's 7th round picks, and I'm not really too concerned.
Yep.
I'm not too excited. If they can play special teams, great. That's how they'll make the team.
Yeah. So that was that. I have a phoned-in debate piece here from Alec Larson. So what he says is he has a conspiracy theory that he'd like to pose in front of the general population here. He says he thinks that Aaron Rodgers is gay, and Danica Patrick is also gay, and they're each other's cover stories. And he wanted us to discuss that.
So this is no bearing on the draft.
No.
This is just...
Or does it?
Maybe that's what it is. Is that where Cody's coming from? There's dissent in the locker room?
Possibly. That might be why. Yeah. He tried to talk. He found out that Aaron was closeted there, and he's trying to make sure the locker room doesn't get fractured because he's hiding a lie. And so he traded up and got Jordan Love. Yeah, exactly.
That also might explain why his family is disowned him.
They didn't approve of it, and as a result, he moved and bought a big-ass fucking mansion in Malibu. And just to stick it in their face. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know about it either. There's a lot of missing pieces there, but I'm sure that a lot of things will come out here in the near future. I talked to Sam about this, and I think this will be the last thing that I kind of talk about with the draft. But there's a lot of news and media sources that are talking about the implications of the Jordan Love pick and what this means for Aaron Rodgers on the team. We did a brief spot track analysis just during the day today. And I think it's pretty easy to see that the Packers likely aren't going to move on from Aaron Rodgers at least through these next 2 years, 2020 and 2021, just by virtue of the dead cap situation. If the Packers traded or released him for some reason, he has the potential opt-out 2022 there, but I don't know. A lot of people are thinking that Aaron plays these next 2 years and then possibly seeks to finish his career elsewhere. And since we're all in quarantine and there's nothing going on, of course, this was like the national headline of the draft. And it's certainly something that a lot of people all over the place are talking about. And it's kind of nuts because anybody that has any sort of even remote connection to Aaron Rodgers is all of a sudden getting a pedestal and a microphone shoved in their mouth and asked what they think or what Aaron thinks.
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to. A lot of people are trying to compare it to Aaron's draft itself, but I think it's kind of tough to do that because Aaron truly did fall into the Packers' lap, and they're like, oh, what do we do? We got to do something with this guy. But then it's a little bit of a different situation when they go up to get Jordan Love, and he's still got these couple of years and the option left on the contract. I see what the Packers are doing, moving for the future, and they obviously really liked him, but might put the Packers in a bit of a sticky situation in a couple of years. So.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an investment, and I agree 1,000% with you that it's not similar because of that. Because trading up is way different than just a guy who was in the conversation to be number 1 overall, falling all the way down to 24.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too is so the first round pick you get the 4 years and the 5th year option at the end. So say Aaron Rodgers starts for 2 more years and then he's doing well, continues on that 3rd year, and then they do the option. So he starts all 4. You then used up the first 3 or 4 years of Jordan Love's contract, so the Packers then they don't have anything to judge Jordan Love on, and they have to exercise that 5th year or give Jordan Love an extension to keep him without any sort of starting evaluation. So I think by doing that, the Packers are saying they're effectively looking for 3 years maybe, or 2 years like you guys were saying of Aaron Rodgers, and that could likely be it for him. So, which would worry me from a personal standpoint, that he won't retire as a Packer. But yeah, it's kind of tough to think about that far out.
Yeah. It is hard. I think that's why a lot of people are kind of upset. Is just that turning the chapter on somebody like Aaron Rodgers is hard to do, especially when he's brought so much success to the franchise. And held the team up sometimes just by himself. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to think about, and there's quite a bit that I've already thought about and rolled through in various stages of grief that I've already been through with this process. But I mean, at the end of the day, really, the 2 years it's a lot longer, I think, than a lot of people think. 2 years is a lot of shit that can happen. I mean, looking back 2 years, the Packers, we'll say the 2018-2017 season, looking back at either of those, I mean, it feels like a world of difference from what exactly was going on. I guess for the 2019 season, looking back at the 2017 season, there's a lot of things that are different, a lot of things that have changed since then. So anything can happen. Would it feel good if in 2 years we let go of Rodgers? Absolutely not. But you got to do what you got to do with the evolving landscape.
Yeah, I'm just sick of the whole narrative. This is going to last as long as Jordan Love's on roster with Aaron Rodgers. this narrative of what that relationship is like, what Aaron's true thoughts are. All this are going to be media fodder here for as long as they're both on the roster together, which I am. It's been a week. I'm done with that. I've had enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right. All these people are digging up like the Graham Bensinger interviews with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers because he asked them, what was it like? And both of them trying to talk about it. It's like, well, I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if your boss in your office brought in a new dude and was like, hey, this is a guy. He's going to replace you. Have fun. It's like, how do you react to that? What do you do? And it was pretty interesting listening to both of them because I feel like they're both being very reasonable about it, but being reasonable doesn't necessarily mean that they're going out of their way to be as kind as possible to each other. And I mean, at the slightest bit of negativity in anything, it's really easy for the media to take a soundbite and just turn it into a completely like a whole non-story that fuels a media frenzy for a week. They don't need much. And looking at some of these interviews back, it's like these guys were pretty amenable in terms of how they thought about this, but with how they're phrasing some of these things, it's very easy, I think, for somebody like a journalist to grab a quick sentence here and Packers are in disarray. Like Sam's saying, I'm already envisioning some of the stuff happening with the media and asking people. At some point, you have to imagine what this kind of toll takes on these individuals themselves if the media is constantly pressing them for what their feelings are on the matter. And it's just you have to have extraordinary patience, otherwise, you say something and the whole room goes bananas. So not looking forward to it, but
yeah, the media just loves to run with that stuff. I mean, just look at the whole LaFleur thing. I mean, that's all anybody talked about the entire offseason. Anytime the word Packers was mentioned, it was, Aaron Rodgers and they're going to hate each other and all, all that stuff over the entire offseason until they were pretty much hit the field in September.
Yeah, still thought they hated each other even though they went 13-3. So, and that's at the end of the day here. That's what's going to matter is once we get back to playing. For all this shit that's going on in the offseason, as good or bad as they say that the relationship between all these dudes are, once they get out there and start playing, if they start winning a bunch of games again, that'll fix a lot of problems or perceived problems.
Right. Yeah. I think you said that earlier, and it's been said before. But winning solves all problems. So if for some reason the Packers end up going 13-3 again next year, I mean, this will almost be a non-story. If the Packers are balling out.
So give me your after a week's past here, I want draft grades from everybody. I'm giving them an F-.
I'll go with an S-.
S-.
Slightly less than satisfactory.
Brandon, what do you
Yeah, I don't know. Like you guys talked about, classic draft grades. Just middle B- for everything. That's
Hell yeah. So there you have it, folks. If you average those together, an F-, an S-, and a B-. We have about 69%. And so with that shipwreck of a draft, boy, do we have a special episode for you guys. So today we brought on Vinny because we really want to dig into some shipwrecks on Lake Michigan. So Brandon Berens is a bit of a ship aficionado, and he certainly provides us a lot of footage of the great ships that sail on Lake Michigan. from his alcove. So let's get into it. Brandon, do you have any...
Hold on. Just a little more context for those of you that are not Snapchat buddies with Brandon. Since quarantine started, he's been documenting all the big boys, all the big ships coming in and out of the Port of Milwaukee, and there's been a lot of them, and they are certainly really majestic to look at out what floor do you live on?
So
we're looking out over the lake.
Eighth floor, but we're up on the bluff behind Lincoln Memorial Drive, so it's I don't know, probably the equivalent of like 12 stories up or something above lake level, so it gives you a pretty good view of down on the south area over there, over the Port of Milwaukee. So it's pretty cool. But working from home and the quarantine thing is, I had my desk set up outside in the kitchen area or whatever, and I've been seeing these big boys rolling through. So I started taking Snapchats of them, and that's pretty much how this started.
They've been much appreciated.
It kind of took off a little bit more than...
It's so funny how you sent me 1, 2, and then the third one I was like, oh, well, this is a thing now, and then all of a sudden there was like a day or two, and you didn't send one. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it was just one of those stupid things in the first couple times, and then there was a bit of a hiatus, and then they came back, and I got because I just put it on the story or sent it out to a bunch of people, and then as soon as I sent it out a couple days later, everybody's like, oh, I didn't realize how much I missed them, that kind of thing. So needless to say, it kept going, and I don't know if I am an expert or anything on the Great Lakes shipping commerce or anything like that, but I have become
what
that.
are you seeing on the commodities market for different? How has the coronavirus affected different commodities and shipping on interstate trade and international trade in and out of the St. Lawrence Seaway?
That's a wonderful question.
Do you have a good read on the commodities exchange? What are you seeing for fiscal quarter 2 here?
Yeah, quarter's going to get a little tough, that's for sure.
Anyways, we're going to dive into some shipwrecks. Connor, sounded like you had one cocked and ready to go.
Yeah. First one here. On September 8th, 1860, Lady Elgin was shipwrecked. And this one I just thought was interesting. So, at the end of the day, what happened is a littler boat crashed into this bigger boat. But since it's 1860, a bunch of people died. I think over 300 people died. Because this is hilarious though. So the Augusta had a whole so the other ship, the Augusta, they sailed away because they thought that their smaller boat suffered way more damage. And that was not correct. So what happened was Lady Elgin, they saw this smaller ship coming, and like half an hour before the collision, but they didn't do anything to correct its course until 10 minutes before. So the little ship crashed into it. They thought it didn't matter, and then when they realized it did matter, they were like, "Oh shit!" So they threw 50 cows overboard in order to lighten the ship. And then they put all their appliances and heavy items over on the other side to try to lift up the gas side so water didn't sink in. And then when that didn't work, they lowered a lifeboat, and then it floated away because nobody secured it. So then over 300 people died because they've just fucked up like 5 times in a row. And then, as a result, because of this disaster, a law was passed that mandated that all ships crossing the Great Lakes had to have running lights. So a lot of impactful things there.
Well, there we go. We learned that we need lights to see at night.
Yeah, there you go.
How about that?
Something comes out of it. Back in the early discovery, too, back in the late 1800s. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, I guess, about the Great Lakes is that the fresh water and the fact that it stays at the bottom at like 40 or 45 degrees or something like that, it preserves all these shipwrecks at the bottom. So even the ships like that one or any of those big wood schooner barges that back in the day, you can dive down depending on how deep they are, and all the wood and stuff isn't eaten away. Like the masts are still there, everything's still preserved, just because of the fact that it's the fresh water, there's no salt, and then that it's so cold that a lot of the bacteria and stuff like that doesn't eat it away.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because there is one ship on this list here that I want to talk about, and that was exactly what I was going to mention, the SS Appomattox. On November 2nd, 1905, so I guess a little bit about this ship. It was a triple expansion steam engine ship, one of the largest wooden ships ever constructed for use on the Great Lakes. On November 2nd, 1905, it was hauling coal off the coast of Wisconsin. It was blinded by smog, and it ran aground in the port of Milwaukee there. And they tried for 2 weeks to free it, and it remained stuck and abandoned. But it still sits today in about 15 to 20 feet of water, 150 yards out from a beach in Shorewood, Wisconsin. And it's a popular dive site, so like Brandon was saying, people dive there. Look at this ship that ran aground over 100 years ago.
Yeah, there's a couple out in the Milwaukee area that are pretty easily diveable, that people in charters can go out and see them. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, there's one off of the right out of the breakwater here. You can see the general area from my place here. It's called the Prince Willem 5. It's a rather newer one. It sank in 1954 here. So it left Milwaukee about 1.5 miles outside of the breakwater, so about 3 miles offshore. It collided with a fuel barge, actually. So even with newer technology and the lights and everything, there's still collisions that happen all the time. And this one it collided with a fuel barge off the shore of Lake Michigan. Luckily, the Coast Guard was close enough and snagged everybody off the ship. But that's another one that's about 55 feet down and pretty easily diveable. So it's a pretty popular spot for some of the charters and stuff out here to go diving to.
Boy, 55 feet, that's not that deep, all things considered.
No. And where it shows on the map, a lot of the traffic that comes in and out of here you'd think goes right over it. So, yeah.
Huh. That'd be some fun to do sometime, is do one of the shipwreck charters.
Yeah.
I've never scuba or anything, but I don't know. That sounds like it'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
It's fairly local, fairly convenient to do.
Be a fun one in the Great Lakes. We don't have like the colorful reefs or the super the pretty fish or anything like that, but we have shipwrecks. We got tons of those.
Yeah, I got some old buckets of boats sitting down at the bottom here. So first one I got here that was this was actually in Lake Superior, but it is the city of Bangor. But it was originally designed to carry ore, but it was converted into an automobile carrier in the 20s. So this thing got trapped on a sheet of ice in Lake Superior in November 1926. It didn't sink right away, but what happened was they got trapped on that shelf of ice, and so the crew gets off, they rowed ashore. They're in Copper Harbor up near the UP, place I've been up snowmobiling. Actually been up in this area a couple times. But so they get to shore, but they don't know where they are, so they get lost, and they just spend the night in the end of November up in Princeton, Michigan, with no shelter, no inadequate clothing, no food. They're stumbling around, they got hypothermia, they got frostbite, they're in bad shape, and then the Coast Guard actually picks them up when they're on land there. But, so this thing was carrying 226 Cadillacs. It's Cadillacs, right? Yeah, it's kind of a car. About 15 of them. During the initial impact of the ice, got flipped off the top of the deck and into the water, but the other 202 other ones. I don't know. It doesn't say here how long they were sitting out there, but the water actually froze, and they must have been close enough to shore, so they actually drove 200 of the cars on the ice to land, and then took them to. Took them to Calumet, Michigan, and they loaded them onto a train back down to took them back to Detroit, and then repaired them and sold them. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I never thought that the ship would have wrecked and they would be able to use an ice ramp. to save the payload. So kind of a neat one.
Save the caddies.
Yeah. Ship went down though, so it's another popular diving spot.
Very interesting, Sam. Let me tell you one here. It's the schooner Rouse Simmons. Yeah.
Let me have some of this, son.
Yeah, I've got a Great Lakes tale for you, for your ass. So, the Rouse Simmons here, it's labeled one of the most legendary shipwrecks in the history of Lake Michigan commerce.
Never heard of it.
Well, let me tell you about it, son. It's an 123.5-foot ship. It was christened in 1868. So this is quite a number of years ago here. And it spent several decades traveling the lakes in service of prominent Midwestern lumber barons. So it was in pretty rough shape because it had done its fair share of sailing already at this point. What it was doing at the time that it was wrecked was a Christmas tree ship. And so what I learned very recently from this article is that there used to be many ships that would ship Christmas trees to other ports, namely from Michigan to Chicago during the holiday season here, to deliver Christmas trees, obviously, for people to buy. And so on Friday, November 22nd, 1912, the schooner left the dock at Thompson, Michigan, carrying thousands of Christmas trees in its hold and on its decks. So nobody necessarily knows what happened, but there was some sort of a storm on its commute over to Chicago, and it was lost at sea. And what happened was there were a lot of ghost stories and legends that spawned from this, that crossing the Great Lakes like this was, how sailors die, and, these mysterious elements claim them or something like that. And so as a result of its mysterious disappearance, actually what happens to this day is a Coast Guard ship, the cutter Mackinac, it makes a ceremonial run from Michigan to Chicago to deliver Christmas trees for less fortunate individuals, still to this day. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. A lot of interesting factoids in that story.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, Brandon, you got another one?
Yeah. So here's another one for you guys. Staying on the Milwaukee route, and then getting some bad weather accidents in here now. So the Milwaukee Car Ferry, 1929. So this is a bit of an interesting one. So there's car ferries now that obviously run from here in Milwaukee over to Michigan that you can drive your car on and take your car across and skip the route around the bottom of the lake. But this one was more for rail cars. So they'd actually roll the rail cars full of stuff onto this car ferry, and then they'd strap them down and then take them across the Great Lakes to other areas with railways or whatever. So it left one day here in Milwaukee about 3 miles out. They hit some big winds, and they never saw them again after that. But after they dove a couple of years later, they actually found that it looks like the rail cars came loose in the winds and then rolled around and then struck the side of the ship and broke the hull and sank it that way. So, and I guess when you dive that one, that's another one about 3 miles out. Where you can dive and you can still see the word Milwaukee written on the steer house for the name of the boat. And they're not sure how many people they lost in that one, but it was definitely quite a bit for sure. But one of the most interesting parts about that one is that they actually found a watertight case holding messages. And one of the written messages inside that on the letterhead of the Milwaukee Car Ferry Company included a note of the date and the exact time of the sinking. So, kind of interesting there.
Wow. Black box for the black box.
Yeah. I guess so. 1929 black box, yeah.
Well, that's really interesting too. That would be one if I'm putting power ranking my shipwrecks to dive. That's number one on my list, obviously. There's got to be some rail cars down there too with it, huh?
Yeah, must be. So
it's right up my alley. And that's a similar deal with the SS Badger in Manitowoc. That's been since converted, and still in service. Car ferry that brings people and cars across the lake. That was its original purpose. Was for a similar thing, bringing shuttling rail cars across Lake Michigan, on an effort to bypass Chicago, since Chicago was very much and still is, in a modern sense, the rail crossroads of the United States, where all the eastern rail lines and western rail lines kind of meet in the middle of the country here. So that was way back in the day to bypass the very congested rail yards of Chicago with your rail cars to shuttle them across the lake.
Yeah.
A little rail history for you.
Wow. Very interesting.
All right, let's kill some people. The SS Eastland. This was a passenger ship used in Chicago, used for tours locally. It rolled over in 1915. Really close to the mouth of the Chicago River on Lake Michigan. Originally built for the U.S. Navy. It was used as a gunboat. But after its warfaring days, converted to a passenger ship, and the deal was this is an interesting little note here. After the Titanic sank, where is it? The Seamen's Act was passed, and that required lifeboats on all the on ships to have lifeboats for all the people on board in case of a thing like this. So that actually made the ship more or less safe because of all that additional weight. Since the ship itself wasn't designed for all that additional weight of all the lifeboats for the number of people that were on board. So anyways, this thing was at capacity of 2,500 people on board this ship, and they're all standing on one side, and so the ship starts to lean one way, and then they emit water into the ballast tank to try and stabilize the ship and get her to stand up. Didn't work, and the next 15 minutes people rushed to the other side of the ship, and it lurched slightly back the other way, and it rolled completely into the water. Water's only 20 feet deep, so like the ship was sticking like half out of the water. However, because it rolled over, a bunch of people inside were trapped, and a lot of people died. So, what was the number? How many people died in this thing? Many.
A lot.
Why does it give me a number? 844. There you go.
Wow. Holy shit.
So yeah, right in Chicago, not even that far off. Not far out from the city at all. Wow. Right near a wharf, but just the nature of that thing where you had too many people on board, and the ultimate don't rock the boat. Well, they rocked the boat and tipped her over. Oof. So thoughts and prayers.
That's a tough one to handle. Well, I'll add on to that with the SS Carl D. Bradley. So the SS Carl D. Bradley was actually the largest ship on the Great Lakes at wartime. Between 1927 and 1949 it was the largest because it was a 639-foot boat. So for a little while it served as an icebreaker as well as a freighter, and it hauled limestone from Lake Superior and Lake Huron to Lake Michigan and the ports there. And what happened is it actually shipwrecked in 1958, but in 1957 it collided with another ship that resulted in some damage to its hull, and a lot of people think that crash specifically it played a part in its ultimate destruction here in Lake Michigan. So in Lake Michigan it was making a delivery from Gary, Indiana, and heading into northern upper Lake Michigan, and a massive gale force storm hit. The winds were up to 65 miles per hour, and there were 20-foot wall waves, 20-foot tall waves. And so the freighter was battered from these by these forces for a number of hours until eventually the storm literally tore the hull in two. So it went down, and a rescue attempt failed, and only 2 out of its 35 crewmen survived. They eventually found the wreckage of the Bradley sitting 360 feet under the water, but it wasn't until 1997 that they could verify this. So, it's just pretty wild that a 639-foot ship would just sink and disappear into the ether like that after the ocean tears it in half.
Yeah.
Not the ocean, the Great Lake.
Yeah, sorry. The Great Lake.
One lakey boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the storms that sweep through the lakes can get pretty crazy, and I'll go into my final one in a couple minutes. Probably one of the most famous shipwrecks from the Great Lakes that was kind of along the same lines of that story. But for this next one, have you guys been to the Apostle Islands yet, up in Lake Superior?
Boy, I don't think I have been.
Oh, okay. If you ever get a chance, it's an awesome area for hiking and kayaking and camping, that kind of thing. It's a beautiful area too, to hang out and do activities up there. But so Lake Superior can get a little hairy when it comes to weather. In September of 1905, there was a pretty big storm that swept Superior. So in the Apostle Islands, there's like 8 or 10 islands, I think, with pretty big areas in between the islands where sometimes ships will seek shelter during storms and things like that. And in 1905, this is actually a double wreck from the same storm. So the Sonova was the first ship that sought shelter among the islands where waves started to get pretty high, but they struck a shoal or a sandbar in an area just outside of Sand Island, one of the bigger islands in the Apostles there. So they got a little bit too shallow, and the ups and downs of the lake had them hit the bottom. And some of the people made it back to Little Sand Bay, the mainland of Wisconsin there, but 7 were lost in that one because they didn't make it. So, but because the shipwreck itself was in shallow water, it was seen as a hazard for shipping and anything that was going through there. So they actually, in 1907, they took Army engineers in there and actually blew up the wreckage in 1909, sorry. And a bunch of the ship still remains and is a popular spot for sport divers there. And then the second one, the Pretoria, was a barge that also sank near Outer Island, so a couple miles away on another island in the same storm, where 5 died there. So a pretty bad storm where they were trying to shelter in the islands there, but it got a little too much for them.
Wow.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Apostle Islands, because that's right in line with the next one I have here for the SS Hudson. Built in 1887, was hauling some wheat and some flax, ran into a storm off the Keweenaw Peninsula. I think that's not near Apostle Islands. Apostle Islands is Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it is in Lake Superior?
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't know. It says Apostle Islands, she passed the Apostle Islands, kicked up a storm, and then ended up rocking around, similar to that last one I was just telling you about. But eventually rolled over and sank, taking 25 crew members' lives. Rumored that the cause is that the payload had shifted, which caused the sink and the rollover. The interesting thing about this one is the wreck was only discovered in mid 2019, so just not but about a year ago here. Discovered by two fellows from Rice Lake, Wisconsin. Looking out for the Hudson here, and by George, they found her. So, yeah, situated in about over 800 feet of water. Found it in July, and they dropped the camera down, got some pictures of it, and made that wreck public. So, hey, they're still finding new ones out there, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, guess so.
The world really is a magical place. Well, I have one last one probably. The Alpina. So it was a steamboat. It started carrying supplies in 1866. So this is a bit of an older one. And what happened was it came across a storm in 1880 that was known as the Big Blow. So it's a massive storm that actually wrecked 90 ships on Lake Michigan, which I think is nuts. But what happened was they set sail from Grand Haven, Michigan on October 15th, and they were heading to Chicago, 108 miles away, and weather was... this is kind of funny. So it was around 60 to 70 degrees, and it was sunny, not a clouded sight. And then once it was underway, a few hours later, so they set sail at 10 p.m. and by 3 a.m. the temperature had dropped to below 0 degrees, and it had gale force winds. So I just thought that was kind of funny because it was like, man, yep, Midwest has not changed a bit. That is Midwest. So they were tossed by the storm's waves for quite a bit, and then eventually it capsized the ship. And what happened when it capsized was because the wreckage was so bad, it actually tossed everybody out of it, killed them all, and all their bodies were tossed across 70 miles worth of beach.
Wow.
So that's kind of a brutal sight to imagine, just waking up and 70 miles worth of beach is just like dead folks laying all over it.
You hate to see it.
Yeah, you hate to see it. That's a tough one.
Yeah. You guys have any other ones?
Yeah, I got one more. A couple. Here's a quick one. So another Milwaukee one. We'll get one last Milwaukee one in here. So it is called Dredge Number 6. So it was a flat channeling vessel. In Oak Creek here, there's a huge coal plant. If you guys probably know of it if you've ever driven down that 43 in that area. So, but when they were building that, the dredge was actually digging the channels out to allow huge, 700 to 1,000 foot vessels to pull in and deliver coal directly to the plant, as opposed to trying to offload it and get it in somehow there. But big northeasterly wind came rolling in, and actually this dredge ship is just this big flat vessel with a giant bucket on it, and the winds were so strong that it swung this giant cast iron bucket and actually flipped the ship over. So most of the guys actually jumped off as the ship was starting to flip. So 9 died, but then 10 were able to jump out and swim. Luckily, they were pretty close to shore to be able to do that. So 9 died, but they said that 2 people were never found. So they must be entombed in the ship itself. So
spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oak Creek Power Plant. We do work with them quite a bit on the rail side, not in the water, but out of the water.
So you won't have to jump off?
No. Nope.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I guess
I don't have any more. So if Brandon, you got some more?
Yeah, I guess I'll hit on
one. If you got 'em.
One last big one. So one of the most famous ones up in Lake Superior, up on the northern part of Michigan, there was the Edmund Fitzgerald.
That's a good one to end on.
Yeah, the November 10th of 1975. So probably a pretty recognizable name. It was the largest vessel on the Great Lakes for over 10 years, so it was 730 feet long, so it was a huge ship. And mainly it was used to haul iron ore from Wisconsin to Detroit, but it did a bunch of other stuff too within the Great Lakes. But this one was lost in Superior off of Whitefish Point in Michigan, coming from Superior, Wisconsin. So this one's about 530 feet down. And this Whitefish Point apparently is a pretty hairy area, according to the Michigan DNR, as it comes to different depths and things like that. But 29 people were lost in this one. It was one of the biggest wrecks shipwise, length of shipwise in the Great Lakes. So, but the interesting part about this one is how recently it happened. So it was November 10th of 1975 again. So relatively newer technology, radios, beacons, radar, most modern day items for 1975 anyways. But the weather is what really did this one in. So apparently there was a low pressure system moving from the east, causing 55-mile-an-hour winds that produced waves in the eastern part of Superior of nearly 30 feet high, so a 3-story building high. And there are theories out there that these waves could have produced a few rogue swells that got up to 55 or 60 feet. That would have crashed over the ship and took it down. So it's pretty, like Connor was saying with his example before, it's pretty amazing that a 730-foot ship could just be taken down in seconds like that. I guess there was a call on the radio a couple of minutes before it went down and everything was fine. They were just going into the storm, and then all of a sudden it was gone after that. So, but today, because of that, there's been a lot more advanced weather reports for sailors, high wave reports, buoys off the coast, letting everybody know when it's safe to sail or not. And then there are many changes in Great Lakes shipping practices even then because of that. So because of that wreck, larger ships now have to utilize depth finders. It's required by the Coast Guard now, and then all crew members must have survival suits that have light beacons on there for each crew member. Ships themselves have to have emergency beacons and things like that. And then the Coast Guard performs quite a bit of safety searches on these larger ships too, for escape hatches and generalized safety things too. So So I guess Lake Superior and these lakes can get pretty nasty because of these common weather patterns that cause these huge waves and swells and things like that, which I guess is why our bottom is home to almost 1,000 ships and almost 6,000 across the Great Lakes.
Wow. Before this episode, when you posed the question of doing an episode on shipwrecks in the Great Lakes, I had no idea how many shipwrecks there truly were until I Googled shipwrecks, list of shipwrecks in the Great Lakes, and I got a Wikipedia page of a lot. There's a whole museum.
Yeah.
And approximately 6,000 ships and 30,000 lives lost. Oh my goodness. With somebody who's estimating the total number of wrecks is likely more than 25,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nuts.
Yeah, I didn't know how much it was actually on the bottom until, like you said, until Sam suggested this, and then I'm like, I'll look up and learn a little bit more about this, and there's so much more than I thought, and I'm actually tempted. Once all these restrictions lift and summer comes around and stuff, I'm like, maybe I should go out and dive and try to see one of these things, take out one of those charters and, check it out if I ever get the chance. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I think we can probably end it there.
Okay.
Right on. Oh, Sam says he thinks he's lost audio. His audio's dead.
Oh, yeah.
So, rest in peace, Sam.
All right.
We'll end it here then on the technical difficulties from Sam's side. Hopefully he can end the recording, but yeah. So thanks for coming on, Vinny. We appreciate you coming on, and as a loyal listener, it's been a long time coming, I think.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, if you guys ever need somebody on again, definitely let me know.
Absolutely. I think we'll make it a bit more of a regular thing to have people on, so we're hoping to have you as a recurring guest.
Definitely. Sounds good to me, man. Thanks.
Hell yeah, Vinny. We'll see you next time.
See ya.